Welcome.
Welcome.
Yes. Today we're going to be discussing some basic ideas about how to develop posters that connect. Hence our title, Turning Your Learning into Poster. Will you communicate? Assuming that communication is the bar for success. I mean, are you coming across? Are you transmitting ideas? My name is Eduardo Muñoz, and I'm an assistant professor at the Teacher Education Department and the volleyball coordinator as well.
And I'm Lyle Lustigman. I'm assistant professor in cognitive disorders and sciences.
Good. So what we have for today, we'll discuss the design of an appealing poster. A poster as an object, a thing. We will strategize how to make an impact. That is, how can we see a poster as an interaction between people? And last, we will comment on creative ways to make and maximize a poster. A poster as a memorable experience, something that lasts in your minds. I guess the first thing is, why would you do a poster? Why are you doing a poster? Balls in your court. Because they told me so.
It's an assignment. No.
It's more of showcasing in a way your progress, your experience, and your research in a way. I know both me and Izzy are in our piloting stage for our study, so it's just nice to have that benchmark. And at conferences, it's really good to get feedback from professors or people in your discipline or who aren't in your discipline to give you tips and directions and considerations you never thought about before. And I think that's why I like the poster presentation format better than the PowerPoints, just because you get a lot of one-to-one communication.
Beautiful.
Yeah, great point. How about you?
I presented with Melody in New Mexico, and I think it catches a lot of people's attention, and it displays everything. So if they don't follow along with what you're saying, they can follow along with what the poster is saying because all of your information is on there, as well as hearing feedback, how to improve, what they suggest, and it's really amazing to hear about what other people have to say. So it's a learning experience.
It's nice that you're bringing that up because your experience as having done posters before is part of the mix. So we certainly want to appreciate your experiences, what worked, what didn't work, what you would replicate or not.
Yes.
Let's go into part one. Part one is a poster as an object. Basic question, which one would you eat?
Both veggie burgers.
They're both veggie burgers?
As far as I can see.
Well, I'm afraid that this being in and out, it is not a veggie burger. It's a double. Yeah. So which one would you eat?
As a vegetarian, I would opt out.
You would
Exactly. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
As a carnivore, I'd get in and out.
In and out, because in and out is in and out, and it tastes like California. Well, one of the things that we have to say is first, appearances matter. We know that when you are talking to somebody and you're giving them a business card. If the business card is creased, it's already it seems like you even have to apologize for that. Sorry, it was my last one. It was in my pocket. That burger is squashed, ugly, like the reality of what they give you, not the pictures. It's more like the pictures. Although no advertising intended, in and out delivers in image as well. But again, there's also another point. You may opt out. Perhaps you want to determine who you are communicating with. Perhaps not everybody's going to eat your burger. Perhaps nobody's going to be as into your poster. So you need to be mindful about who you are targeting. Let's look at some examples.
Give us your thoughts. These are actual poster samples. If you were to actually encounter this poster at a conference, what will be your major feedback to that presenter?
There's a lot of writing,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you could get lost easily. And if there's a row of 10 posters, I'm not going to have time to stop at yours because I'll probably go to somewhere else.
Yes.
And I can talk to more easily.
Mm-hmm. So here, a lot. Well, perhaps I may give it a second chance. It's kind of like a tension between too much, too little. That's one of the things that we're going to be considering as test, having a poster as an object? What do you think? Again, imagine yourselves, you're out there, you see this, because this is part of the experience, seeing it, first reaction. What do you think?
I automatically think yes, because there's visuals, there's a little bit of words. I have enough time to thoroughly go through it, get the information out of it, but now I could go see other posters.
So you think that would be a better experience compared to the previous poster?
Yeah. Has a lot of iconicity, it feels lean.
There's white space.
There's white space. It feels
Never appreciate white space.
like fresh air in the shape of a poster, right?
Yes.
Good. How about this?
I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Why? Why? You have an immediate reaction.
Yes.
Tell us why.
I like that the colors are balanced, especially with gradients. You can go overboard really easily, but you can still read the text. The colors aren't like too vibrant; they're subtle, but it's nice pop to it. So you can really see like it complements like the images, the text, and it's just appealing.
Yeah. You could even think of a little bit of a sense of humor
Right.
in the illustrations. No, all those little teeny tiny details matter. Just imagine when you are in the middle of a hallway and you have like 30 posters. Which one will catch your attention? I mean, that's you're seeing yourself in that situation. Now, the parts of a poster. We're going to start talking about the handouts we shared with you earlier, but let's have a preamble. A poster reflects the stages of your research. It's your journey. And that leads us to what is good research. Meaning, good research is something that is transparent about methodology, that can be confronted by peers and discussed. It's not opaque. It's something, remember that what makes good science is your methodology, but also because the methodology is presented in such a way that your fellow scientists can offer arguments for and against. And that the fact that it's discussable is what makes it science. That's good science. It's not that it is the right thing or the truth. It is that it's discussable. So
Also the right thing.
Yeah.
But it's important also to reflect your journey in a very truthful way, but also make it accessible to people who are not experts in what you do. So making it discussable is partially the challenge here of telling all the details you want to tell, but doing it in a very accessible way.
Yeah. So that takes us to the last question. What is the right information to display? Which is particularly when you have developed with your research almost like a very intimate, passionate relationship. It's difficult to say I will put this, not that, because everything matters. Everything is such a beautiful gem of data. It's tough to condense, but you got to consider that it is necessary. So we're going to be using this handout.
That you have.
Part A is at the top. That's when we talk about a poster and object. Part B is a poster and interaction. And part C is a poster and memorable experience. Okay, so those are the three sections that we are going to be talking about. First, the design.
So the design is a big challenge, and there are now trends that are actually trying to make some sort of a revolution in terms of poster design. And if you come with a better poster approach, we'll actually show you some of them. But generally, the poster should include the introduction, where you actually present your problem, your statement, and your research question. Sometimes it's so clear to us why we actually created the poster, but this whole process, and we'll talk about that process, you'll see it later in C, of why this experience actually matters to us, is because it makes us really think about what we are doing, what is the major question of our research. And then in light of this question, we actually review the literature. We're very limited in how much literature we can present on a poster. That's where people usually put too much. You have to put really very, very concise bullet points with references if you want. And then the methods, how we collected the data, how we actually approached our research questions, and our findings. And a very important part you would think is the conclusion, the implications, the highlight of your study. And I would say many people sometimes bury these at the bottom of the poster because chronologically they come last. And you really have to search for them. I would really like you to highlight your conclusions and implications as much as you can.
Ultimately,
This is your bottom line, and it's so hard to find it sometimes on posters. So if you were to choose to bold something, to highlight something, to put in, I don't know, enlarge the font, whatever, that would be your conclusion. This is the bottom line.
We are in the School of Education, and we are about certain applications improving the lives of children, first and foremost. That's something that unites us across our department. So, what are the implications? Why should I? And I'll tell you, I have my personal kind of journey, eye gaze journey when looking at posters. These are very few words. This is a very simple, straightforward asked question. It's a very simple. So I will look at this, which should be connected to the title. Then I'm going to say, okay, I am then going to be placing a lot of emphasis on these two. I'm going to say, okay, about this question, what answer did you provide? Why does it matter to me? And then, ooh, that's a big thing to say. How did you get to that? And then I will look into what other aspects of the conversation were happening, what are other findings. Also, particularly in my research, is qualitative context is super important. One conclusion found in a setting in Idaho might not be the same as Southern California, the Bay Area, etc. So again, consider what Lyle is emphasizing: be strategic. So what, and the research question. Because this is like, if I look at the research question, I'm not interested in knowing that, I just move on. Okay?
Yes. Would the conclusion and implications be separate sections, or would you want those weave together?
With each other? Mm-hmm. Usually you can, it depends on how you would like, what you would like to emphasize and how many points you would like to actually make, but it's really important to have one very strong statement. And don't feel that just because this is, chronologically you reach your conclusions last, it doesn't mean you can't start with that when you present your poster. I'm going to show you how, and then you actually say your conclusion at first, and then you can start the journey after you already drew your audience in. That's really important. That's you.
Let me make an observation. We don't want you to do things in any particular way. There's no prescribed way. And part of what we are going to be sharing with you today is it's fun, because it needs to be fun to break the rules a little or to play with the pieces, okay? Again, to create a memorable experience, because if you just play by the rules, same old, move on. So what's the pizzazz? So you may bring them together, you may move them physically around the display in certain other ways. Just so you know that people are going to be, this is the genre, these are the parts of the genre of a poster. But then, how are you going to be playful? Artistic, okay? Now, last part of this, the objects. How are you going to go beyond, jump out of the poster? Some people are going to include realia, like objects, artifacts. From there, they're going to have a table, they're going to place the artifacts around. Some people will have an iPad for you to see something. Some people are going to make 3D rather than just the pre-enough Kinko's flat poster. They're going to have trifles like science fairs that you can just turn around. More it's starting to become 3D-ish beyond the 2D.
Look what we did today.
Exactly.
Actually walking out with a handout. So it's not only the presentation that disappears.
Well, you got to think about why going beyond, and that's where we are going into. Well, because humans are 3D. We like to interact. We expand over time. That's why we move from part A to part B. What is a successful poster? Let's put it back to you. And also because your experience, what is a successful poster?
You said poster and interaction. That's not really cut.
I think you are right. I think to me, what's a successful poster is people being engaged and coming up to my poster in the first place.
Yeah,
It,
not an easy thing to
it's not,
obtain. We'll talk about that.
So if, like, people are looking at my poster and walking away, I think it's not successful. And I look at like my research and I feel like it's great, but maybe my poster's weird. But also, like, I did have people come to my poster and they liked it. They did mention a lot the artistic ways of my poster because I added butterflies because it contributed to the research I was doing. So I think you're correct in interaction.
Yes. How about you? What is success for you? I mean, in what you've done or what you've seen others doing that's just like, wow, I mean, like, hats off.
Yeah, I think methodology for mine, since it's an observational study, I am very hands-off in a way, like I'm a non-participant observer, and that's especially for like a child development type of study. A lot of people found that shocking, like, oh, how are you able to make these broad assumptions or conclusions if you're not even interacting with the children? And I kind of liked highlighting my methods really big on like the top right corner because that's the first thing your eye goes to. And I was able to like strike conversation, and I got to receive a lot of like good constructive criticism, but also be able to like defend my methods for why I'm doing it. And I guess I define a successful poster also, like Izzy mentioned, whoever comes to talk to you, like you're not just someone they look at and like walk away, but they actually want to talk to you and see why you're here and what you're doing.
Consider what is being said, thinking kind of chess-like 1 or 2 or 3 steps ahead. You say, I will have to defend this because I know that people will tell me this, so that led to a specific graphic disposition of a section of my methods in the poster. You see, that kind of thinking, it is the proactive thing that was to happen, because essentially what happens is that it's a communication situation. You are the addresser, the sender of the information. Then there's the addressee. You need to identify who's your audience. But then this is going to happen in a context. Is a poster session in the evening? Is the addressee, is general population, are they going to be tired? Do they work in the morning? Is the further to the context, where are you? Are you in the middle of like a sports center? Are you in a college of education? Contact channel is clearly going to be the poster, but again, as we are defining, how do we jump from 2D to 3D? And also it's hybrid, because a poster needs to come alive through your interaction with people. So it's not just there like, and some people will have this tendency to use poster because it's like, okay, put it there and like when given the choice. And well, yeah. The message, that goes back to part A, and then the code. Like what you were saying, how are you going to pitch your use of the code so that to your addressee? Last, that the arrow says message goes from addresser to addressee, but we clearly see that there's going to be a feedback and a loop effect. So that's how some interactions may last 10 seconds, maybe like an exchange of eye contact, or may last for 20 minutes, sustained conversation.
Yes, so I want to actually continue on that. If you look at the part B on your handout, you'll see that there is like there's a way to behave around the poster. So you don't want to, jump on every person that walks near your poster. You want to actually let them skim through the poster first, and then ask if they have any questions. And then be prepared to 2 types of interactions. Some just want that we called it the 20-second walkthrough, where you just say it very quickly. They might say thank you and move along. It's not personal. Some of them just move along without saying anything. But some may ask some follow-up questions, and then you will be prepared to give more detailed answers. So it's really important. I've seen many people in conferences where you're just trying to see what their poster is about, and you end up standing and listening to them for 5 minutes is a long time sometimes when you just wanted, the bottom line of the poster. So be prepared to vote. And as Eduardo said, if you look at the the 4th bullet point here in part B, it really is essentially about a very, I would say, reciprocal communicative context with your audience, because a very successful poster session for you would be actually getting feedback and not only telling about your research. So again, as Melody said at the beginning, the beautiful thing that we have in poster sessions that we don't have in oral presentation is this one-on-one connection with your audience. It may be very energy consuming because you end up talking to numerous, you'll have numerous one-on-one interactions, but you get so much personal and nice feedback from people. So be open to that and think about the poster as an object that is really promoting an interaction, promoting a conversation. I think these are the most enjoyable poster sessions for both presenters and their audience. So yes, so definitely it's a two-way there.
But then
it might not happen.
Some things may happen. I mean, we want to credit Mike Morrison for this video that.
And you can see this is the whole video on YouTube. We're just playing.
We're just gonna watch the first 5 minutes of it. But the truth is that posters situations can be a little bit like that. The question would be, how do we strategize
every year
so this doesn't happen? How do we strategize so that this doesn't happen? What do you think from what you've seen there? What would be your strategy to avoid what the presenter and the attendee both experienced in the presentation?
I guess not like making Hawkeye type eye contact with participants who are just trying to get a feel for the presentations, but also if they do come up to you, like feel for what they want. Don't just go into your elevator pitch, but actually like gauge if they have any questions, or let them tell you like, oh, actually I do want to hear in your words what this is about because it seems like a whole bunch of jargon and I want it explained to me. And on the behalf of the attendee, just understanding that, oh, there's a lot of good research here. And I guess not settling for one presenter, but just also knowing when to interject and say, thank you, I want to go see something else.
Excellent.
The idea is that, it's very important to be very mindful of your space, of body language, of the physical disposition you often are going to be. I mean, the setting that we have here, you get to see where are you going to be located, what's around you, and particularly how are you going to capture that attention, that microsecond decision of whether I'm going to stay here and read this poster and interact or not. Again, it's almost like an instant, like yes, no. I mean, we've probably all been in that situation that we were just walking around. Feels like walking around in a mall, and the decision whether you're going to look at this shop window or not is just like almost like a spark, right?
And also, that's the good situation. If you are very heavily engaged in a conversation with someone, be mindful of other people that are walking by your poster, because sometimes this is a really good and important conversation, and this is a challenge only for poster sessions, where other people are coming by and they may just walk away because I have to have too much background information, I don't understand what they're talking about. So this is a bit of a challenge sometimes, to have someone who already knows what you're talking about and is in a deeper conversation, but also saying, just a minute, do you want me to walk you through my poster so that you can join the conversation? It's a very, again, this is
mindful that this is not linear. You are presenting in a session and then you go from beginning to end.
And then Q&A.
And Q&A at the end. But here you're talking, you see somebody that right in the middle of the spiel, somebody stops, and then you have to backtrack a little and engage this new person without boring the person that already heard the fully developed thought. So it's kind of a little bit of a juggle.
But that's good. That means you have lots of interest in your posters. So you should be happy if you have this.
But you should be prepared to, for example, one way to think about this: what are the big connecting points, the joints of your presentation? So, and what are the main ideas that you will need to retrieve, minimum, for somebody who just jumped in the middle of, that you could bring them up to speed in understanding, and then you can incorporate this audience. I was like one informed attendee and somebody who just came halfway through. How do you homogenize a little bit your audience, balance the background information with them, and then move forward with both? Now, the whole thing gets even more complicated when you got a third one, and then a fourth one, and then a fifth one. May you be that lucky.
Exactly.
But you have to juggle. Okay? Now, moving on to part C and closing, taking it to the next level. Probably you're familiar with the QR codes. There's been a recent trend which is doing QR codes in presentations, which is about making the memorable experience lasting longer, because just by having this code, you are sending more information to people that they could review even when the poster session is over. If you actually used that QR code that you have right there, imagine that this is a poster, and what you have in the title is just a punchline. Students learn more when their cultures are sustained and empowered. That's the only thing that you would say there. And then everything else that you want to say is in the QR code. I mean, it's kind of radical, but at the same time, there could be a time when that becomes less radical when everybody's doing it. But again, it's kind of trying to play with the pieces of the game. If you were to QR scan that, you would actually get to this blog that we have here, where you have QR codes for posters. It tells you a little bit about it, what you could do, create your site, select a theme. Basically, what is the repository of information that the QR code is going to be leading to. And basically, then it also has this idea of the QR code generator, where you could actually generate it with all the fancy colors, etc. Then you download in the format that you want, so that you copy and paste. Pretty simple, pretty simple. But again, how would you incorporate this new trend? And there could even be even more trends. One thing to consider, and where you can, a link that we will share with you, where you can also see the video by Mike Morrison, is from Inside Higher Ed, where we found this video first, where they are discussing the pros and cons of the QR code. Again, everything has pros and cons, but you have to determine what fits you in your approach. You see, for example, here we see criticism. Morrison also has detractor. Criticism centers on his past assertion that scientists don't think enough about design because they are not trained designers. Many scientists have previously offered thoughtful questions on how to poster design. So we can see that even poster design, poster design has become even an object of scientific discussion.
Yes.
So it is almost like it's a meta conversation.
I would strongly recommend that you watch the rest of Mike's video. It's really very helpful. Change the way I thought about posters.
Yeah, no, certainly. So that's what we've got with regards to the posters and taking them to the next level. We encourage you to be bold and to be unique, and that will ensure more chances of success. But now, moving forward would require us to move backwards. Let me explain what I mean by this. When you're preparing your poster, first go to part C. What do you want people to remember, to carry with them, ultimately, last over time, not just forget? Second, how would you communicate, going to part B? How would you communicate so that memorable experience does indeed last? And then we go to part A, step 1, thinking backwards. Define what is to be seen, the physicality, the object itself.
And how this object actually serves your interaction. It has to be convenient for you also. Think not only about the experience of the viewer, of the audience of the poster, think about how you will be able to utilize the whole design of the poster in order to easily communicate your bottom line.